Hello everyone, this is attorney Kim Gye-ri. Today is August 28th, 2025, and it's been a long time since I last greeted you. A few days ago, on the night of the 25th, there was quite an uproar. Just hours before his first summit with President Lee Jae-myung, President Trump posted on his social media, "What is happening in Korea? It looks like a purge or a revolution is taking place. We cannot do business with such a place." Because of this, everything was thrown into chaos for several hours. In Korea, many are evaluating Trump's action as disrespectful toward the head of state right before a summit. And yes, it was indeed rude and a breach of diplomatic protocol. But when I compare it to what happened to Zelensky, who faced such rudeness during the summit itself, with no chance to respond, I wonder if at least Trump gave President Lee a few hours to figure out how to handle the situation. In that sense, it might have been a lesser breach of diplomatic etiquette. President Lee explained to Trump that the special prosecutor's raid on Osan Air Base and the raids against churches were not under his control, but instead led by a special prosecutor driven by the National Assembly, and that the investigations were still ongoing. But when you check the facts, this is not true. According to Article 3 of the Special Prosecutor Act, it is the president who appoints the special prosecutor. And realistically, could the special prosecutor have completely bypassed President Lee and done things entirely on his own? So when Lee says, "No, that wasn't me, it was the special prosecutor," he is basically trying to cut himself off from responsibility. Also, the name of the special prosecutor is literally the insurrection special prosecutor. How can it be fair to label it as an insurrection investigation when the probe hasn't even concluded yet? It's not insurrection. This is martial law. And moreover, I've heard that the Lee administration is even considering special promotions for soldiers who disobeyed orders during this period. For soldiers whose promotions, pensions, and salaries are a matter of honor, such consideration is nothing short of a form of inducement to influence testimony. And indeed, statements opposing those soldiers' so-called heroic testimonies, which the Democratic Party has been using to support its narrative, are now beginning to emerge. They haven't been reported in the media yet, but such counter-testimonies are coming out one by one. If someone was given a promotion and later turns out to be lying, then what happens? The investigation President Lee cited to Trump is not yet complete. The special prosecutor has not concluded, and the trials on the alleged ringleaders of insurrection have not ended. The next day, shocked by Trump's remarks, the special prosecutor hurriedly clarified, "The raid on Osan Air Base was not a raid on U.S. forces, but only assets managed by the Korean military. It was not directed at U.S. forces." But this is like raiding a house shared by a husband and wife and then claiming, "We only touched the husband's belongings, so it wasn't a raid on the wife." On top of that, the special prosecutor argued, "We only executed a warrant issued by the court, and we had approval from the air defense commander at Osan, so we bear no responsibility." So President Lee shifts responsibility to the special prosecutor shifts responsibility to the court, and the commander, who then is ultimately accountable. And if the commander had refused to cooperate with the warrant, wouldn't he have been investigated for obstruction of justice? Was it really possible for him to refuse the raid in consideration of U.S. forces? I doubt it. A while back, regarding the illegal arrest of the president by the special prosecutor, I publicly stated that I filed a request for disclosure of information concerning the CCTV footage from that day. But the Democratic Party and some media twisted this, claiming I had demanded the CCTV be released publicly, which is nonsense. It just shows how ridiculous it is that people who don't even understand what a disclosure request is can become lawmakers and journalists. What I requested was disclosure for the purpose of securing evidence of the illegal arrest and actions of the special prosecutor and the detention center, not to make the CCTV public. Yet, the Democratic Party absurdly says, since Kim Gye-ri requested disclosure, let's release the CCTV. That's preposterous. Everything I've written is already posted openly on Facebook where anyone can read it. But without even checking the original sources, some journalists just take the Democratic Party's framing and copy it word for word into their articles. I think such journalists also bear responsibility for the situation. At the very least, shouldn't they investigate before writing? Otherwise, how can they call themselves journalists? They need a conscience. The reason the Democratic Party makes such absurd claims is because they have no legal basis to release the CCTV at their own discretion. That's why they fabricate lies, saying I requested its disclosure. Even Justice Minister Chung Sung-hoon at first said the CCTV would be released, then later said it required a resolution in the Judiciary Committee, and then, after Jack Smith's name came up, he suddenly reversed course and said it wouldn't be released. They don't know what will happen if they release it without legal grounds. After all, anyone could turn into a Jack Smith in this situation. Let's see who ends up being the Jack Smith here.